Well, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, who sent UK troops into Afghanistan 20 years ago, criticised the US decision to pull out, branding the justifications behind it as imbecilic.
We didn't need to do it, we chose to do it. We did it in obedience to an imbecilic political slogan about ending the forever wars.
Well, Blair was PM when Britain joined the US to invade Afghanistan in 2001. He added that his country's involvement in the region was not hopeless, despite the Taliban's advance, and that the UK has a moral obligation to stay in the country till the Afghans who need to be are evacuated, as he put it. OK, well, let's cross live now to journalist and international affairs specialist Richard Medhurst. Welcome back to RT. What do you make of Tony Blair's words, though, the man who helped start the Afghan war, calling the withdrawal by the US imbecilic?
First of all, Tony Blair is a war criminal. So, I mean, I don't think anyone is really interested in what he has to say. I think as people have put it on social media, this is like asking a serial killer, you know, why they think the emergency services are not saving their victims fast enough. I mean, he calls this slogan about ending forever wars imbecilic, but he's the one who followed George Bush, the laughing stock of the Western world, in 2001, into 2 wars, both Afghanistan and Iraq. And he's the one who could not finish these wars. We're 20 years later now in 2021, and he's still offering excuses and trying to justify what he did. So if there's any imbecile here, it's most certainly Tony Blair. And that's saying something, given that we're talking about Joe Biden in the same sentence. So, you know, Tony Blair has lied from the beginning about Afghanistan. Even right now, when he's talking about the withdrawal, he's saying that the Taliban failed to give up al-Qaeda leadership. This is blatantly false. The Taliban actually offered to hand over Osama bin Laden. They just wanted proof that he was actually guilty of 9/11 before doing it, which is called due process, right? Something that they claim to believe in Western democracies. And so he's still lying about that right now in 2021. And he's still saying that, you know, the whole effort was noble. You know, this guy has blood on his hands from 2 countries. He's killed and displaced millions of people, and he still has the audacity to talk about, you know, noble pursuits. It's unbelievable.
But there is a post-9/11 generation of Afghans now hitting their 20s where you have girls going to school, women in jobs, and that's now all in jeopardy. There's something to be said for that, though, surely.
Yeah, so Tony Blair, he brings these up. He says that the economy in Afghanistan is 3 times the size. He says that there are 50,000 women now who are going to university who would not have been able to do that under the Taliban previously. Yes, but he's also helped kill 50,000 Afghans and displace millions of others. And that's not the goal of why Britain went to Afghanistan. The United Kingdom and the United States did not invade Afghanistan to help women go to university, even though that's a great thing. They invaded Afghanistan under the pretext of nation building and of deposing the Taliban and getting al-Qaeda. They claim that they got bin Laden in 2011. So what are they still doing there? They're just trying to justify an occupation. They're trying to use this human rights and women's rights veil to you know, justify their military occupation. And this is even something that WikiLeaks has talked about, where the CIA has documents talking about using women's rights as a shield to justify intervention. And Tony Blair has no intention of you know, helping women, because we've seen the Chilcot report when we were talking about Iraq. He told George Bush, I'm with you all the way, I'm with you no matter what. So it's not about facts, it's not about actually doing anything for Afghans, it's not about actually finding weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. No, it's just about following the United States like a lapdog. And so he's done that, and you know, he's the one who started this war in Iraq, in Afghanistan. You know, he was right behind George Bush in the war on terror, so of course he's still trying to justify what he did because he's a war criminal. The fact that he's able to give interviews, the fact that Tony Blair is able to talk about what he has done with such arrogance is astounding. Meanwhile, Julian Assange, who exposed the war crimes of this war precisely, of Afghanistan, of Iraq, is in jail, is in Belmarsh prison. If anyone should be in jail, it's Tony Blair.
Now that Afghanistan feels like it's sliding back 20 years, could the country become a terror hub, as the White House described it when invading back then in 2001?
Well, if the NATO forces stay, it will be a terror hub, because they know themselves that they've contributed to terrorist recruitment. And there's this paradox, right? They say that they have to stay to prevent Afghanistan from becoming a terror hub. And then at the same time, Tony Blair himself, he's saying now, well, look, there's ISIS now in Afghanistan. And, you know, the Taliban will most surely harbor al-Qaeda. So obviously, you've not done your job. How is their pursuit noble, and how have they been successful in Afghanistan, but at the same time, it's still a danger of becoming a terror hub? Why is al-Qaeda running Idlib in northern Syria now with US support? Why is there more terrorism all over the world? It's because of Tony Blair and George Bush. It's because of these neocons who started this war on terror. So if anything, the world has become even more unsafe. And if there's any country that's going to become a terror hub, and if we're talking about Afghanistan becoming a terror hub again, it's their fault.
What about the situation at Kabul airport? It had become chaotically deadly in the past week or so. Was the Pentagon right to block access to Afghans?
No, of course not. I mean, let's look at this just concretely here. The United States military hijacked the Kabul International Airport. Could you imagine if, you know, the Iraqi army just hijacked JFK International in New York for their own purposes? What the Americans did, what NATO troops did, is they used their resources to get their own personnel out, which, okay, that's fair enough, but they went and hijacked the Kabul International Airport, preventing everyone else, no matter who they are, Afghan or not Afghan, you know, military or non-military journalists, everyone else from boarding flights, from getting out of the country. They just prioritized their own. And the Germans were airlifting, you know, hundreds of thousands of cans of beer and bottles of wine before they evacuated any of their local staff. So we really see where the NATO priorities lie.
And what about the rather sinister threat from the Taliban of consequences if the Pentagon doesn't complete its pullout, even if it's for humanitarian reasons?
Well, they've been very clear, the Taliban. They've said that there will be consequences if they don't leave by August 31st. And, I mean, this is just unbelievable. They're in the process of doing the withdrawal, and they're once again talking about extending the withdrawal. The withdrawal was supposed to be May 1st. That's what the agreement says, which was drafted in Doha between the Taliban and Donald Trump's administration in February 2020. It said May 1st, 2021. We're in August now. They're withdrawing, they said it's going to be September 11th, now August 31st, and they want to push it back even more. This is why the United States and the UK, unfortunately, they cannot be trusted when it comes to these things. They say we're going to withdraw now. You know, Obama was making this promise to close Guantanamo Bay and leave Afghanistan. And it's 2 presidents later, and they're still there. And even in the withdrawal, they're still trying to leave. I mean, I think the Taliban, they've been very clear to the U.S. that they have to leave by the 31st, and they haven't assaulted the airport. They haven't done anything. As far as I know, no diplomatic staff or personnel have been harmed. So, I mean, if the U.S. made this promise, they have to keep the promise. It's that simple.
OK, well, thanks for your time again. International Affairs journalist Richard Medhurst. Good to talk to you.
Thanks very much.